So thank you for joining us on this webinar today. One of Qbit's goals is to help people get the most out of the technology. We pay a lot for our Microsoft Office subscriptions and the computers and all that sort of thing. So we really do want to make sure that people get a lot out of their technology. Here we have the first picture of some of our guys standing around looking handsome. You have William, Damien and Jack, just a few of our 50 team members here at Qbit, divided into 4 teams of techs plus projects, SharePoint techs and other bits and pieces. Connor, if you could move slide for us. So Qbit is an ISO certified company for 9001 and 27001. That'll makes you have some confidence that we have processes in place and we have some security in place to make sure that that we stay safe and therefore you stay safe. Next on to, let's have a look at the adopting AI in Australia. So 35% of companies have already reported that they have adopted some sort of AI. 60% are planning to next year. So what are the risks of not adopting AI? A competitive disadvantage when somebody can pop out a blog or an article in 5 minutes, something that would normally take somebody an hour or two to do, or when you can write tenders, answer questions to tenders nice and quickly. Those are some of the advantages that you can get. So operational inefficiency is obviously another risk of not adopting AI and missed opportunities. So moving on from there, just wanted to let everybody know that there is a chance to win a trip, 2 nights at the Basildine Manor down at Margaret River. So all you need to do to win that is put a post up on LinkedIn and say what you liked about this webinar today, and also do the question, the Q&A that you'll be sent at the end of this presentation. So with that in mind, I'd like to now introduce Connor Hughes from Microsoft. Connor is going to be doing the demonstration around Copilot, the different versions of Copilot. So Connor, thank you very much for agreeing to do this for Qbit customers and friends, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello all. Sorry if I keep looking this way, I'm just using a small monitor for the moment, but lovely to be with you this afternoon. So my name is Connor Hughes. I work at Microsoft as what we call an AI workforce specialist. So pretty much working in the Copilot space now for about 2 years, based out of Perth. And I work with a lot of the kind of enterprise customers here in Perth, and I've been in Microsoft for 6.5 years. So what I'm going to do today is try and provide some clarity on the different types of Copilots, so you have a bit more of an understanding walking away from today, as well as one of the recent announcements that we've made is that, if not already, but very shortly, Copilot Chat has increased features now where Copilot will be in some of your applications like Word, Excel, Outlook, and PowerPoint, and OneNote. So I'll kind of go through very quickly on how you can, well, not very quickly, for about half an hour on some of the features that you can use in that to get the best value out of that. And then what I'll do then is very quickly show you how to build an external facing agent, if that's of interest to anyone as well, towards the end. And then, yeah, feel free to ask questions through these as we go. So so the first version really is kind of the free Copilot, or the consumer version. So yes, it's web-based, or you can get it on your iPhone. I have it on my iPhone, but you would log in with your own email. I don't think you have to log in, but certainly if you want to get a bit of a history, which is quite useful, and get it to understand you, you have the personal Copilot, which, as you can see there, it's just the standard logo. As you'll see in a second, there's a bit different one with the M365 one, but that essentially is how you can use it. It's very similar, it leverages OpenAI models, so similar to ChatGPT, but it doesn't have anything to do with, ideally, don't use it with work. There are different ones that will come with your work perspective. And that's where you have the M365 Copilot Chat. So very similar to the consumer one, However, it does come with enterprise protection. I believe now, I'm not an expert in some of the business, M365 business, but we were working with Fabio, and we believe it's coming through in a lot of the business and the premium solutions that you have. So if you have Copilot Chat, you will now have Copilot within the apps like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, etc. But the great thing about this is that it does come with what we call is enterprise consumer protection. So anything that you use in it stays within the boundaries of your enterprise, and therefore it doesn't train the model. It doesn't, your data stays with your data. So therefore you have that kind of security perspective out of the box. And then the next version obviously is the full version of M365 Copilot. Now, what you get with that, essentially the main use is access to all your work data. So if you search across it, you'll be able to get access within Copilot Chat to your Outlook, to your chat, meetings. You have the ability to record and transcribe and get AI summaries from your meetings. You then have access to SharePoint, your OneDrive, from that aspect. So from a searchability and finding content, it's very simple. And that's one of the main reasons for the extra license, as well as access to a lot of the SaaS agents that we provide. So two of the bigger, most recent ones are Researcher and Analyst Agent. So Researcher Agent essentially uses a deep research model that if you're doing some research or background checks on things, you can ask it. It takes a bit longer, but again, provides you a lot more detailed response. Excuse me. So with that, let's jump out of here. Bear with me a sec while I just shuffle this view over so I can.
Whilst just shuffling that view over. So I've had Copilot, the full version now for probably 4 or 5 months, I'd say, pretty much since it's been released, thanks to Microsoft. Really do enjoy all the features that you have, like the ability to even just find a document or find phrases within documents or find information that's buried in a document. You can ask Copilot and it'll tell you the answer rather than you having to find the document and open it and go down to that piece of information. So that's all really, really impressive. And also, being able to check, you can upload a whole tender that you've done and ask it to check for spelling and grammar mistakes, and it'll do the whole thing in a minute or two. So yeah, so been some really great features, and it's only improving. Just seems to get better and better as each month goes by.
Thanks, Fabio. So as I had on the kind of agenda slide, as you'll see at the top here, my tabs, my kind of plan for today is to kind of quickly show 1 or 2 things in Outlook, move into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and then go through the building an agent. Can you see that all okay, Fabio? Yep, all good?
Yes, yep.
Perfect.
Coming through.
So what I wanted to quickly show was more from an aspect of, you'll see here, this is a large email that I get internally from Microsoft. This is my actual inbox. So I should probably hide some of this kind of business stuff just in case, but you'll see here, this is an internal briefing that I got, that we get on a regular basis, giving us an idea of some of the updates of what's going on from a competitor perspective, but also some of the new things that we have here. And what I wanted to quickly show, which I feel is quite powerful, is yes, I could ask Copilot to summarize that email, but a lot of it is actually summary of other content. But before I quickly show what I'm going to show, is that this is a big way of knowing if you have the Copilot for M365 full version, is you'll see that you'll have a work tab and a web tab. So web tab means that you're just going to go external, and work tab means that you're going to look at your work data. Now, if you have the Copilot Chat version, you won't get this at all. It will just look quite standard. It's just very, very similar, but it just won't give you the option to swap. But what I think is quite cool, as you can see here, it's quite a detailed email. And if I wanted to take this email and go, there's some great content here I would like to share with my customers. So if I go, can you please take this email and create a simple one with some of the highlights. Quickly do that. That I can share with my customers. And so what I wanted to do is to go through, analyze this information, and then basically create me a simple one that I can share externally. So here you go, and it's very quickly done. Here's the subject. Obviously, I would probably change the subject, but hi customer, here are some of the latest updates from Microsoft that may be of interest to you and your team. And therefore, it's very quickly created this and gone from that. So I could obviously copy it, create a new email. Just, if I pop this in, it's going to look quite bad, but if I go to Fabio, and let me just take that out, and then paste that back in, you can see very quickly how I've taken information from an email, and rather than kind of having to copy and paste and recreate an old email, I've got Copilot to kind of take a lot of it. You can see it's even taken the hyperlinks and copied them in, and then added some emojis to kind of try and make it more simple and understanding of what it is. And now very quickly taken an email that's come in and reapplied it back out to somewhere else that I can do the other ones. So that's one kind of version. Obviously, what a lot of people do. Let me do one quick one, which is if I take email from Fabio, summarizing large email chains. I don't have a huge one from Fabio, but if we have one from this aspect, you can get Copilot to open up, and let me just try and find this one and just get it to summarize the email. Obviously, it will go in there and it will summarize a group of emails. So especially if you have an email you're pulled in at the last minute on a large email chain, you can get it to summarize it from that perspective. So the two main things for Outlook is obviously creating emails and creating summaries from that aspect. So very useful for people who now have Copilot Chat. So let me jump into Word. So what I have here is it's just a demo document from which is around product specification for an e-bike. So it's about 7 pages long. And as you can see here, I can just press Copilot and it will open up for my aspect. I'm not, because this is the full version, I'm not quite sure if the chat version will automatically have the summary of it, but here you go, you can see out of the box, it gives you the summary of the document from that aspect if you want to have a quick summary of what you're looking at before that. But what I want to leverage here within the document is very quickly just kind of let Copilot know that please remember that I prefer content in Copilot Chat to be concise. And if I send that through, what that essentially is going to do is it's going to add it to the memory. So if you kind of prefer things in bullet points or you prefer things in more detail, elongated, feel free to share this going. And you can see here within Copilot Chat, it will update the memory. So this is quite cool that if you wanted to do it, you can get it to memorize things about how you like the responses. So very clickily, I wanted to show that it'll do it. So guys, I'll keep my responses concise from now on. So what I want to do then is get Copilot in here to write an executive summary in a bulleted list. So you can see here, it's got an introduction, a product overview. But if I wanted to very quickly, even before the contents page, create an exec summary. So what it's doing here is that you asked concise summary. And so here it is, it's kind of gone based on the document. And it's asked for different things based on the document. And what I can do now is I can copy this response. If I just wanted to kind of put it in here. And let me just paste it from that aspect. So not more about kind of in the problem is because I asked it for in a bullet list, but let me then kind of take that back out and go, can you exec some in 2 paragraphs? From that aspect, let's see what it gives me this time. So here we go. This is more like a kind of exec summary that you would expect from someone. So now that it's done, you can see here, it gives me the copy response, and then I can just go put it within here, that specification. It's just copied the first one for some reason, but I can just go here and copy that in. And if, obviously from a formatting, I can just copy that through. So that gives you a very quick idea of how to leverage Copilot Chat on the pane based on a document. It understands the document, and then you can leverage it to very quickly provide you a summary or a high specification of the document or exec summary. I think some of the best value, especially for Word with long documents, is obviously from an interrogation point of view. So the specific things that you want to find out, just ask Copilot and it will go through the document and it will be able to pull out those kind of more specific questions that you have. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is jump into Excel. So Excel can obviously be very powerful. If you're not great at Excel, it's good for if you're looking for examples of trying to find formulas or get it to create formulas. Or one of the very cool ones is that if I get it to, can you suggest another volume? What it will do then is it'll analyze the data that you have access to, and it will create another column on the end for you based on what you're looking at. And so here you go, based on the data it has, got profit margin, customer satisfaction score, sales growth, etc. And then from that, you can then ask it another question, follow up, and go in, create me a volume on profit margin. And see what it says from there. Those things with Copilot demos is the couple of seconds between being in the prompt and waiting for the response, as it's just thinking. Oh, yeah, okay, so at least it's moving. You can see here. So if you put down here, you can see the actual thinking behind it. And here we go. It's giving you the idea of doing it. And therefore, it's even created me a separate sheet. And here it goes, so you can open up the separate sheet. What it should do is you can get it added in from an analysis point of view. But let me try one other thing that I can show you. But what I wanted to kind of show is this one, which was to get it to create a bar chart showing the kind of units sold by product name. As you can see here, there's a few different product names here. And so get it to create a bar chart. I'm just going to move this because the chart will be quite big. And again, you can see it's analyzing, and in a second, it'll give me the opportunity to get an idea of what it's doing. There we are. If I hit down and analyzing, so again, you can get an idea of the kind of code behind in terms of what it's trying to do and what it's thinking. So very quickly, you can see It's coming now. And there we go. And so very quickly then you can take this, copy the preview, and if you wanted, you could paste it into your Excel file from that. So if you're not someone that done that a lot, then that's very quickly you've kind of gone in and it's analyzed the data and it's given you a bar chart that you can add to your Excel spreadsheet. So go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I don't do those very often, being able to get the AI to do it just reduces the time significantly. Is there any questions anyone's got? I have answered a question from Mel in the question and answers there. If anyone else has got any questions, then if either put it in there, or if you raise your hand, we can come to you. Remember to take yourself off mute.
Okay, so here we've jumped into PowerPoint, and what I'm going to do here is that within PowerPoint you can go create me a presentation. So if you have that Word document, so what I'm going to do is you can see here, what it will do is it will give you access to some of the most recently open documents that you have. And so I'm going to use this one, which is the Thunderbolt. So this 7-page document that we had before, I'm going to feed that into PowerPoint and go, right, now that we've got our specifications document, I want to now take this document and put it into a bit more of a presentation format and based on what information. So you can see here, these are the kind of thinking it's doing. It's going through the different ideas and different subjects that are in that presentation. And let me just try that again. And so you can see some of the thinking behind it. So the last question there is, would you like me to place the content format into PowerPoint file? Do you want to copy and paste the slide into content in your own template? So I can just respond to it and going, make it into a PowerPoint file. And it will go off and do that. It's hoping it moves a bit quicker.
So whilst it's doing that, we've got a question from Paul. Does this work if your document is stored on your own server? My answer to that would be no, it needs to be stored within your SharePoint tenancy. Is that correct, Connor? Could you add anything to that?
Yes. So within Copilot Chat, the free version, my understanding is that it's recent documents that you open. So if you open it recently, it should create a bit of a copy of the file in your kind of SharePoint OneDrive from a temporary perspective. So in the free version of Copilot Chat, it's only recent documents that you get access to. In the full version, you can go across SharePoint OneDrive. From that aspect, you can search for it. Within the free version, it's just recent documents. But
and
yes.
if you do have like a Windows server, you can actually upload the document into Copilot and then interrogate it that way. But yeah, it won't work exactly like this has been shown, because these documents are all in either SharePoint or OneDrive. Yeah, in your OneDrive. Yep. Okay, and then we had another question. I don't have the toggle between work and web, but it does have the green shield that says enterprise data protection. Does this mean that it is using work and not the personal version. So basically that means that you are using the version that comes free with Microsoft 365 licenses, so your business premium or your business standard. But because you don't have that toggle, it means you don't have the full paid for version that has all the access to your SharePoint data and all that sort of thing. Do you want to add to that, Connor?
No, nailed it.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, keep the questions coming. Yeah, please keep the questions coming so this can be interactive.
So I don't want to jump too much off here, but I'm going to very quickly stop sharing, jump into, because for some reason it wouldn't let me open it in the browser, but it has created this SharePoint file based on that document. You can see it. Here's the file it's given to me. Features, technical performance. It's pretty bland document, to be honest. But it's gone off a very kind of bland specification document from that perspective. But the idea is that this does give you a bit of a starting point. But within PowerPoint, you can do a bit more from that aspect. But what I'll do now is just jump back into the blank one. I had a second ago. Because what I want to show here is, even though I have the kind of blank document, what you can do is within the chat version, you should see something here that it says history. Now my history,
sorry,
because
folks, I'm just trying to transfer to a thing.
Quite all right, Rita.
You can see here that I've got my conversations. So these are my previous conversations. But what's very cool is
Sorry, Connor, I muted everyone and that muted you. Can you take yourself off mute, please?
Yep.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
I didn't know if it would do that or not. Sorry.
That's okay. So what I was showing here is that if you have the free version, you will have a thing here called history, and that will give a history of all your chats. So although I've had chats around different conversations, like in Outlook, in Word, and in Excel, if I go to my history or my conversations, you can see here, it's actually pulled up all the history. So if I go to the what I did from bar units of sold by product and go back here, oh, it's just stalling. You can see I've now pulled the bar chart from what I did at Excel. So even though it was in a different app, I now have the capability of open up PowerPoint. I don't have to go back to Excel and copy and then go back to my presentation. I can simply go to the history of my conversations and find those conversations, and it will open them up on the right-hand pane. And if I wanted to take, let's say this, let me delete this. If I wanted to take the summary, let me go back to that one. If I wanted to take the exec summary, I could take the exec summary that I had before and copy it into Outlook, which is pretty cool. So that kind of that history button was something that I just wanted to show about how you can go across in. And as I said, you can copy in that bar chart from there. The other thing that I wanted to show here, if I insert a new slide, if I go up here, go away, please. And if I create a new chat, what I want to do here is let's create an image for this slide of a, what did we call, of a e-bike called the Thunderbolt. Now you can obviously be as creative and adventurous as you want, but this is probably one of the biggest benefits now for PowerPoint. If you hate these stock images, you now have the capability. You don't have to jump out and go to Copilot or go to ChatGPT and go create me this image. You can now do it within PowerPoint. Just open up the chat window, give it what you want, ask it what you want, and there all of a sudden then you can kind of create that image from that aspect.
Whilst that's generating, the third slide I used, which showed the AI adoption in Australia, that was generated by Copilot. I just put the info in and said, generate me an image, and up it came with an image that I was able to use.
So as it's going here, just see if this is going. So it does take a little bit of time to kind of do this. So what I might do is just jump on, but as you can see here, it's creating this image. I could then take this image and copy it and paste it in. The last thing I wanted to show in PowerPoint, obviously because we're kind of moving on, I want to create an image. So if I click a new one, is now we're in here, is given if you've kind of done your presentation and you're finished, what you can do is, if I go back to the other one, is use Copilot to go suggest some Q&A based on the and again, if I go back to my document that I wanted to base this presentation of, and if I go from that aspect. So what I can do is, if you're creating a presentation, you have the presentation done based on the document, then you can go, hey, create me some Q&As that I might get based on the presentation that I do, so I can better prepare for my presentation, so I can be ready for any questions. So as you can see here, it's got some, what are the key specs based on the document? What are the performance targets for it? What's the user experience like, maintenance and quality? And obviously you can iterate from here if you wanted to keep going. So that's another cool feature about what you can do from there. And lastly, I will go into the chat. Again, this is the full version, so it will look different from the web and work. You should still see the ChatGPT 5 button. So even the included version will have ChatGPT 5. You can turn it on. The premium users will get what's called priority access. So if there's a lot of people using it, then you may find it a little bit slower. But on the left-hand side, you will see the ability to create an agent. So I'll just pause here a sec in terms of, why would you create an agent, or what's the benefit of doing it? Simply my aspect of creating an agent is to provide focus. So rather than if you're searching on the web, or if you're using Copilot to go across the web and go, can you find me information on this? The value of creating an agent is that you are giving it guardrails and specifications on what you want to do and how you want to do it. So here, what I'm going to do is create what the example is a bit of an ATO agent. So let's say you're a tax advisor in an organization and you consistently go to the ATO website, or if you're someone that works with the government a lot, and they publish everything on a specific government page. If you create an agent that's based on that page, every time you access that agent, it will go to that website, it will crawl the data, and it will give you generative AI responses back on it. So especially if they have, the ato.gov.au will have lots of different pages within there. They will be updated with the latest information. But rather than you going to those websites and trying to look for that information, you can create an agent on that website or a number of websites, and then just use that agent to have that kind of retrieval on it. So let's go and so here's one way to do it. So you can there's two ways you can kind of describe what you want to do in terms of it, and it'll go through you, or you can just go in, kind of create it from this. So let's do the kind of more user-friendly way, which is describe and go, hi, I'm here to help you build an agent. You can get more done. You can do something like provide me best practice for, but what do you want to make? So what I'll say is that I want to make an ATO agent based on the tax advice that the ato.gov.au website offers. What I want to do is I'm just going to copy this little bit of information that I had backed up. So what that says is that I want you to act like a tax advisor for an enterprise organization. I prefer accuracy over speed. Be concise but clear in your response. And then I'll send it off and it'll come back to me. Right, so it goes, okay, your agent's now set up. Act as a tax advisor for enterprise organizations using ATO website. Now, let's choose a name for your agent. I'd suggest ATO tax advisor. Would you like a different name? I go, no, go with that name. Now, you can see already within this kind of dummy agent on the right-hand side, it's suggested prompts for you out of the box. So it's giving you 6 prompts about what recent changes made to ATO made, corporate tax regulations, etc. So you can see as we go, it's building them. So the agent would be named ATO Tax Advisor. Let's refine what the ATO Tax Advisor agent does. Could you specify the type of tax-related questions for you want this agent? For example, should it answer questions on GST, payroll tax, business deductions? I'll just go, that sounds perfect. Provide responses and guidance related to organizations.
So Connor, whilst you've been doing that, I've asked the participants if they've got any tax questions for your agent, and we have 2 tax questions in there, mate. So once you've built your agent, let's see how it goes.
So it just says tax advisors is focused on responsibility. You have the option to add publicly accessible website as a knowledge source. If you would like to include specific URLs such as ATO.gov website, and go, yes, just keep it to ato.gov.au. Do not access any other sites. Now, if I went into configure, I could specify ato.gov.au, but the fact that I've kind of gone and shown the describe option, you have to be descriptive on that. Now, obviously, when I build the agent, let me just say, I'm here to help you for the refinements now. No, once you create the agent, you do have the ability to go back in and refine it if you want. So it's not, you don't have to delete it and start again. Okay, so now I can actually test it on the right-hand side. So what was one of the questions? How do I, right. Just go there. I've got the first one. How do I maintain a compliant logbook for a vehicle that is partly for business use? I'll get the other one.
Whilst that's thinking, I've got the same agent, but I've added in the State Revenue Department as well with questions.
So Richard, here's your response. Logbook requirements for car fringe benefits, work related car. Keep a logbook for 12-week period. Record the following. Record out odometer. So you can obviously give the thumbs up or not.
Ask, do you need it for an electric car? Please.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And we got another one about file unfranked dividends. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I've just hit new chat and then I've put that in.
Okay.
So when I'm ready, you can see up here we've got the create button. So if we're happy with some of the test data, I have no idea, but Aditya, I hope that's, there you go. There's the responses, how to report unfranked dividends, no franking credit, ensure you retain everything. So as I said here, we can go, you can hit create, and then once it's done, we can ask any other questions. But that very quickly shows how to use an external one. And the great thing about this, you can create these in chat and it costs nothing to do it. Because you're using external data, it's all free of charge. And so even if I wanted to go back into, you can see my ATO tax advisor here, I can edit it. go back in. If I wanted to create a logo, you can see up here, I can configure it and upload an icon. If I go to Copilot Chat and create an icon, I can change the color. What's something outside the data range? How much salami can we? Okay, we're gonna have to. Thanks, Richard. Let's test it and see what it says. Okay, so it'll respond, but
oh, it's got a pretty good answer. It's the reason why all of us shouldn't probably eat it.
So again, those 6 things that were there, you can edit these here within the configuration, GST, payroll, tax, ATO. So these can either be deleted or updated, or you can obviously filter where you want them to appear when you go back to your agent. So if I change that and update it, it should hopefully update it and change the color, etc.
What I wanted to add is that what I find useful is, even though I might know the answer, it's quicker for me to ask Copilot and get it to give me the answer. I had somebody asking about 1,300 and 1,800 numbers a month back. So I asked, instead of me typing out a whole thing, I asked Copilot. Copilot gave me the answer. I pasted it in, and then there was a couple of things in there that were wrong or I didn't feel quite explained. So I went and changed it, and I sent it to the client. I was open and said, look, Copilot's done this. I've edited it to be correct and sent it back to the client. So something that would have probably taken me half an hour to type out took me 5 minutes. And that's where the advantage can come through.
That's pretty much it. I think we're up to 1:45. So
should we open it up for questions? Otherwise, I've got something I can show, but if anyone wants to ask, oh, sorry, have I missed a question here?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think I have. Does anyone want to ask a question? Come off mute.
There was stuff in Q&A.
Do you want to go with that question? Do you always have to disclose?
It is completely up to you. I think the important thing to remember, Amy, is you own the response. So if you send someone via an email, or if you create a document and you send it to them, you own the response. So if you look at the recent case that happened with Deloitte, where they've had to obviously pay back, was it 400,000 to the government because of a document that they created leveraging AI that was incorrect. Now, I would expect that a lot of what people are going to do will leverage AI, but if I provide something, I am responsible to that, and I am the one that is responsible to it in terms of how I use AI to create it, whether it be parts of it or none of it or all of it. So from that aspect, that's where you got to be careful.
I mean, the reason I disclosed it was AI was because I answered in 2 minutes and it was this long, and it was quite clear that it was written with AI, but I actually just highlighted the bits I changed in blue. So I think you described it quite nicely in the last webinar we did, that it's Copilot, not pilot, meaning it's you and Copilot working together to produce the output. Any other questions there? Okay, there's a red button next to chat. I wanted to show you something that I did. So I was under some time pressure, had to get a quote out, and it's something that we don't sell a lot of, but we at 45 Ord Street, that's where our office is. We had to upgrade the access control system, or the building had to upgrade the access control system. They'd got a couple of quotes in. I didn't like what I saw. I felt that it was just replacing like for like, and that there was no feature add that they were getting. So what I did was I uploaded 3 PDFs into my Copilot. I uploaded the Qbit quote that we had put together for them, and I uploaded 2 brochures. And then I went and I would write a half page on why the owners of 45 Ord Street should replace their current access control system. And I stuffed up there because I put the cursor in the wrong place when I uploaded the brochures. that relies on a Windows XP machine to program it with this new controller. So bang, it comes through. Within seconds, I had a half page. I read through that and went, oh, yep, that's excellent. It's even the IP67 rated I was pretty happy with, because one of the other quotes was a lower IP rating, and for something outside I thought that was a bit silly. And then I asked it, why should they choose Qbit for this upgrade? And then it's given me, you know, the different things about why it should choose Qbit for this upgrade. So and then I said, help me write a half paragraph about mobile phone access, because this system, you're going to be able to unlock the doors with your mobile phone. There's going to be a keypad on the front and other bits and pieces. So it's then put that through. For me to do that would have taken an hour, and probably wouldn't have been able to get the quote in time, probably wouldn't have been able to make the sale. So we made a $5,000 sale. We won the deal. We're upgrading the system, and I used Copilot to do that. Now that is the paid version of it that I've been able to do that with. But yeah, that's just one of many. You can see how often I'm using it down the side. If anyone saw the article on the 20 kilowatt battery that I've put in at home, I've used it there to do that, and even using it on other bits and pieces around the place. So I use it constantly, just trying to get the most out of it, and also being able to help me do my job and being able to get more stuff done within a day. So any other questions? Anyone want to come off and ask something? We've got Connor here. So, hi. Okay, well, just moving on to the last bit then. Please don't forget, there'll be a survey coming out shortly. It'll be in your inbox any second. If you wouldn't mind doing that survey, help us make these better. Yep, if there's anything more you would have liked to have seen, anything less you would have liked to have seen, please let us know. If you'd like to go in the running to win 2 days down at Basildine Manor, the most exquisite accommodation down south, please just do a LinkedIn post about the things you liked. You can leave the things you disliked out of that post, please. But yeah, do a post on LinkedIn and what you got out of Copilot and this webinar.